When was the last time that someone really listened to you? When's the last time that you really spent time listening to someone else? In the film Fight Club, there's a great quote that I love, one of my favourite lines from a film. And Helena Bonham Carter plays this character who goes to support groups for people with cancer, and she doesn't have cancer. She doesn't suffer from it, but she pretends she does to go to these support groups. And someone else asks her, why do you go? Why do you do this if you're not ill? And she says this: when someone thinks you're dying, they really listen to you instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. I love that. But it shows that in our culture, in our society, we're not very good at listening to one another. We're much more keen on talking and telling and speaking, which ironically is sort of what I'm doing right now. However, one of the amazing things about Jesus in the Bible is that he was someone who would listen before he spoke. We might have this idea of him as this teacher and preacher who was always telling people things and preaching big talks and all of this. But actually the Bible shows that whenever he had an encounter with a person, he would ask them a question and he would listen before responding and engaging with their needs. Jesus really wanted to know where people were coming from before he threw a bunch of teaching and wisdom at them. I remember when I was doing some counselling training, the lecturer would ask at the beginning of each session, "How do you feel?" Every student was asked, "How do you feel?" And we'd go through and we'd say, "Yeah, I'm okay." Someone would say, "Yeah, pretty average this week." Someone else might be like, "Well, I've got a lot on my mind at the moment." And then she would go back round and say, "That's not a feeling. You've not told me how you felt. You've just given me some thoughts." And she would then pressure us. She'd say, "Now, how do you really feel? What are the emotions that you have had for most of the day?" And there are only 4 basic emotions. This is what she wanted to get at. There's joy, there's fear, there's anger, and there is sadness. And we express these with loads of other words, loads of different terms, but there's only those 4 basic emotions. In John chapter 20, verse 15 in the Bible, Jesus speaks to Mary Magdalene after he's risen from the dead. And she's not yet realized it's him. She is sad and she is afraid. She's scared. And he asks her, "Why are you crying? How do you feel? What's going on?" And he listens as she works through her fears and her loss, and then he simply says her name. Mary. She feels joy. Jesus could have just said, "It's me, I'm alive." But he gave her the space and the time to work through how she felt before trying to bring the answers. And we as humans are really bad at this. That's why listening is so important, so that we really understand where someone's coming from before we try and bring the answers. I'm rubbish at this with my kids, with my wife sometimes. I don't listen before I try and come in and fix it and solve it and give advice. It's really, really bad. I want to be better at that. But this is the challenge for us this week. I wonder how many people we will encounter this week who really need someone to listen. Not get another nugget of our wisdom, but just need us to listen. In James chapter 1, verse 19 in the Bible, it says this: "You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry." Don't just fly off at the first thing people say, but really listen to them. It's one of the coolest things about prayer. Some people say, why doesn't God just talk more? And I do believe that God speaks to us when we spend time connecting with him. But I also believe, and this is held up by the people who know about these kind of things, that prayer is actually really emotionally and mentally healthy for us. It's really good to speak out your thoughts and your feelings, whether you believe someone is listening, which I do, or not. So here are my challenges for you this week. Number 1, how are you feeling? Number 2, pray. Tell someone. Tell God how you're feeling. Unpack it. And as your thoughts roll out, I wonder how that might help you to process where you are and where you're going. And finally, who do you know that needs someone to listen to them this week? Just to listen. Get them on the phone. Get them on Zoom. Go for a walk. And really, really listen. God bless you. The Lord be with you this week.